Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lena and welcome to the study vlog. So I am a PhD researcher. I'm in my 8th month, so I'm in my first year, and of course I'm currently doing my literature review. So this study vlog is going to be about how I do my literature review, or generally how I study throughout the day. So that also includes the courses that I take during my first year. It's not really obligatory, but then it's good that I take them. And at the end of the 4 years, it's mandatory that I have certain courses based on I have certain points based on the courses that I would have taken. So currently it is 18 past 7 in the morning, and my plan was actually to start studying at 7 so that I study during the focus times 7 to 9 when I'm still at home, where there are no distractions like at the office sometimes, especially on a Monday morning. So it's a Monday today. So what I do is right now I'm going to study a paper in a space of 1 hour blocks, and then I'll take 10 minutes break in between every 30 minutes, and then I go to the office. So the time that I go to the office is the time that I use to take a little break, because it takes me about 45 minutes. And then when I get to the office, I'll also do something else. Okay, so for my literature review, what I have done is, okay, so what I do here is I always have 2 screens when I'm studying. So I have the paper that I'm reading, and then I have a summary in Word document. So what I have done is, I don't know if it's very clear, but my topic is long, and when you're starting, you're not very sure what exactly you're jumping into. So what I have done is I've broken down my topic, and I have a folder called Literature Review. So I have broken down my topic into different categories. So I'm looking at digitalization, sustainability, and dynamic capabilities, but I've not really refined down to what I want to look at. So I have different folders for each topic. So whenever I find a paper, I put it in there. I haven't gotten to a stage where I refine. So I haven't gotten to a stage where I refine, like to really know what I'm looking at, but I hope to do that by the end of this month. So right now I'm going to read a paper on digital transformation, and I take down the notes. I also use the AI tools. So I use ChatGPT. I know there are a lot of other that we can use, like Perplexity and all, but the best version of them is when you pay for it. So I thought it's better to just pay for one. So I use the paid version of ChatGPT, and it's pretty good to me. So what I do is I really read the abstract of the paper, and then I read the conclusion, and then if I am really satisfied and feel like, okay, this paper is talking about what I like to read, I go on to read the introduction, because in the introduction you find the research question, and then at the you find the build up in the beginning, the state of the art, and then at the end you find the research question. Going down further, you find the hypothesis, and you find the gap that they're trying to cover. So it also gives you an idea. If I really think the paper is very interesting, then I go on to read the method. Maybe it's the method that I would also like to use. And then after that, I upload the paper on ChatGPT, and I give it a very good prompt that, this is the paper that I'm looking at, because I'm looking at this research, blah, blah, blah. And then I tell it to keep the paper, or I tell it to really give me this paper in a table. So the name of the paper, the summary, the research question, the gap, and it will not lie to, if it does lie to me, I know this because I've read the paper. So in as much as I'm using AI, I'm not making it replace or do my work for me. So sometimes for other papers that are like not very specific to my topic, I can just read the abstract, and then I feed it into AI, and then I tell it to summarize, so that I also have a table of these papers that I'm later going to use, as part of my citations and references for certain aspects. But the specific ones, I make sure I try and read the whole paper. So this is going to be the first hour. Let's log in and start reading. Okay, 45 minutes is up, and I am going to just make some coffee, and then I go back and finish up. So I didn't cover much. I didn't read much in the paper because the paper is so prompting. So this happens sometimes. So your goal is to read the full paper in like 1 hour 30 minutes, but you find that you are stopping at every paragraph because you're asking yourself, okay, how does this relate to my research? What if I look at my research in this particular way? So in my case, I'm reading this paper. It's like a literature review of digital transformation, right? So it's explaining the different phases of maturity. And so I'm beginning to ask myself, okay, how am I going to define digital transformation when I look at it in my research? So then you really stop and think and take down notes. So sometimes it doesn't go as fast. So of course my goal is to finish this paper before I leave, but maybe that will not be possible. But I try to also zero in and really focus. I haven't touched my phone ever since I started, and I'm not going to touch my phone until I'm about to leave if I have to respond to any messages. And when I get to work, I will look at my emails 15 minutes. I obviously have emails that I have to respond to, and because it's a Monday, I have to send my supervisor my check-in of what I'm going to be working on this coming week. So this also keeps me in check that I am doing something. So every Monday, I send my supervisor a Monday morning check-in of what I've been working on. And then after that, I also have emails because of my other work that I do as part of my PhD that I respond to. So hopefully 15 to 30 minutes. So I'm hoping to get to work by 10 or 9:45. Yeah. So then by 10:15, I'm done with that. And then I get to the next phase of studying again. So yeah, this is the break. I take a coffee. I even go outside to just get some air, and then I come back and continue. Okay, I'm done. It's 9 and it's time to go to the office. So I'm going to pack up and be ready to go. And then we'll talk when I'm at the office. Oh my God, I'm in so much darkness. But yeah, we'll talk at the office. My office is pretty cold, so I really make sure that I'm warm. Sometimes I even sit in the office like this. And then sometimes I take off the jacket. So, okay, it's time to go now. Taking a 5 minutes break, and I'm gonna get some water. These breaks are so important. I can never overemphasize. I'm speaking so slowly because I'm at the office and there are a lot of people, but the Pomodoro technique really works. 30 minutes, zero in, don't touch your phone when you take your break. Just try to sit still, relax, drink water, drink coffee, refresh. It helps you remember the things that you were reading on. So touch your phone after the whole block, like 2 hours if you have to. Otherwise, it's not important. it's super cold, as I have mentioned. You can see how I'm dressed. But I have done 2 sessions of studying. I've done my emails. I did a little bit of data collection part, like I'm recruiting now my companies. So I was going through their websites. It's a very rigorous process, but I've managed to do that. So now I'm going for a course. Campus is still beautiful even though it's very cold. Anyway, I was saying I'm going for a course, information retrieval groups. And because I really need to fine tune literature review, how I do it. So that's the course of the day. It's just a workshop, just 3 hours. So I'm home now and I'm going to do a sit-down video explaining what I learned in the information retrieval. But the first thing I'm going to do now is cook and eat, of course, and then I do the sit-down and then we can close the vlog. So that's generally what my day looks like, honestly. If it's research, of course, I have lunch, which I didn't film today. I have lunch with colleagues mostly. Sometimes I have it alone, which is also cute both ways. And yeah, that's just about it on an ordinary day. So let's get into the cooking just quickly and then I get into the sit down. That I would learn from the course, right, as part of the literature review. So I'm going to share that in this part. So this is going to be a bit of like a sit down. In the morning I mentioned that when I'm doing my literature review, the reading part of it, I look at the title first, most importantly, and then I say, okay, does it have the keywords that I'm looking for? If yes, I go on to read the abstract. What are the general objectives, the results that they found? Is it visible in the abstract? If I get a bit of an understanding of this and it's interesting, I go on to read the introduction very quickly, especially at the end, because this is where they put out the research question and the objectives. If that is satisfying enough, I go on to look at the conclusion, because in the conclusion, this is where I'm going to find the gaps or what they failed to cover or the general conclusion of what they found. If that is super interesting, then maybe I even go on to look at the methodology. But mostly, it's not important that you read the methodology of every paper. So this is also what we learned. So always remember, for a quick literature review, title, abstract, introduction, conclusion, and then, when necessary, methodology. If you are at the very beginning of your research, I read even the literature review, because then I get to structure my thoughts as well. But then as you go on, you just, sometimes the literature review is just repetition, right? So you go on. And then let's get into searching. This is also what we learned at information retrieval. How do you search for your articles? I mean, right now with AI being embedded in Google Scholar and in everything else, and with a lot of AI tools, it is so overwhelming. So I can imagine you'd want to streamline how you search for your papers. So you have to know, you have to sit down without any AI and ask yourself, what is it that you want to know? Try as much as possible to brainstorm and refine your research question, and then put it into ChatGPT to help it to refine it for you. That way you can only use keywords when you go to Web of Science or to Scopus to search for your papers. The advice that we got is that usually the first 5 papers show how refined or how accurate your search query is, because your search query is the most important thing that will give you the papers that you're looking for, right? So it's important, of course, to use the Boolean logic, the and or the or. The and makes the search narrower, the or make it broader. So that also depends. And then the other thing is the AI tools. I feel like I'm going to do a video on this, because this is going to be a very long video. So I'm going to do a video on the AI tools that I use. But then after this, the next thing would be management of your data. How are you managing your articles, your papers? Are you taking notes? How are you taking your notes? And how are you keeping it in such a way that it's going to be easy for you to track it when you're finally writing your thesis, right? So traditionally, I use Excel, but also I use other AI tools like Obsidian, but I also use the Word document. But I will do a video and show how I use these AI tools, where I use ChatGPT and where I use Obsidian and where I use, what's this called? Beautiful AI, Notebook LM. I mean, there are a lot of AI tools for different things that can make you super productive, but that can also take away, I mean, the beauty of the journey in learning, whether for a master's, whether for a PhD, or the critical thinking can be compromised if you use AI for everything. So I will do a video on this, but generally, this was the takeaway for our information retrieval course. So what is it that you need to search for? And then what is the relevance of what you are searching for, and also the results that you're getting. So if you're getting irrelevant information, what keywords did you use? And then maybe you may want to swap and change them. You may also want to swap. You can look sustainable digitalization, for example, that's my topic, or you can look at digitalization and sustainability. That can also help. And then you go on to information retrieval. How are you going to retrieve the information from the papers you read? This is when you do the reading of the introduction, as I've mentioned, objectives, and then the taking down of the notes, as well as the paper that you got it from. And also when you're saving papers, you're not just saving all the papers. In your Zotero, in your Mendeley, so this is citation again, you are saving the papers that you know the reason why you are saving them. Is it because it's important for your methodology? It's important, maybe later it's going to be important for your discussion. It helps you to lay out the foundation. It's a foundational paper. It's building on your theoretical view, on your conceptual view. Why are you saving the paper? Because the problem that we noticed today with many of us was that we have a lot of papers and we are overwhelmed. We don't know what we know. We don't know what we do not know. And this is something you want to try and avoid. So other GPTs, or other AIs like Research Rabbit could also help, like Lead Maps. But anyway, I keep repeating myself. Like I said, I'll make a full video on the AI tools that I use so that you're not overwhelmed. But this was generally a typical day, I would say, as a PhD, when I am just doing research and I'm not doing the consultants and the coaching part. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're inspired to continue or start your research or your literature review, or to just study. And until next time, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you again.